All right, everybody, and welcome to episode 253 of the 9 News podcast. I'm Nick Draper. I am joined, as always, by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deacons. And for the second week in a row, we've got wins to talk about and we've got goals to talk about. But Stu, it's been an insanely busy week for me. I cannot really keep up with anything that's going on outside of my job at the moment, to be honest. Has there been any news in football this week? Have I missed anything big? Anything people are talking about? I don't think so. It's all gone very quiet, I thought.
Yeah, it's typical end of season stuff. Do you know what I mean? You know, season's dying out. There's some people that think they're big in terms of big news, but they're no longer big people or clubs.
They're no longer big people. It's like Tom Hanks, is it? As he, oh no, he was the opposite. He was small and he became big. He was still little inside.
Well, yeah, let's just say that some owners have been slapped down a little bit and given a reality check for now.
Yeah, I don't know whether you want to start with the Super League, the fallout from the European Super League this week, or should we start and focus on us for the time being? I say we focus on us to start with.
I agree.
Yeah, so let's talk about our two huge victories this week and last Saturday's victory, Stu, over Swindon Town. Seems an absolute lifetime ago. I can't believe it was only a week ago.
Yeah, it's a weird one, wasn't it? Because I got confused with the days. Obviously, we played at R5, didn't we? We delayed our kickoff, so it felt like a midweek game. I got totally confused on all the days. But yeah, a week's a long time in football, isn't it? As they say, and this feels like a long week. But yeah, the Swindon game was. I think I said it on. Well, I didn't actually say it Sunday night, but I've said to quite a few people that if that was a boxing match, the flag, the towel would have been thrown in at half time. We absolutely battered them.
I'm just having a look now. Yeah, I thought it was weird because I didn't see the game, but the start of the game seemed to be open and Swindon were in good positions as much as we were, but then it seemed to be we got the first goal. Well, about 20 minutes in, but after that, it was just one-way traffic after that. So it shows you how important getting that first goal can be. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that if you look at the values that Robbo wants, he wants relentless is one of the ones in there. And we just literally broke Swindon down mentally, it felt like. We did the high press on them, and they couldn't get out of their half. In the end, the ball become like something they didn't want. They didn't want the football because they sort of knew that if they got a touch, someone would be on them. And we harassed them in their own half, unbelievably. We made them look very poor. I saw a lot of comments going how poor are Swindon. I just think, we made them look absolutely terrible. And they went in at half time. They were a beaten team. They were a beaten team after Sal put the third goal in. They were beaten. They were gone. The only disappointment I think I had is that we didn't. I think we could have gone on and put a cricket score against. So I think we could have easily gone into 6s and 7s. So we probably weren't as ruthless as we need to be. However, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's still work in progress.
What is 4 if not a cricket score? It's 4 and 6, really, isn't it? Like,
well, I just, you think about it, we scored, Joe Pickett got his goal on 53 minutes. We made subs, good subs. We just didn't really influence the game. It just pattered out. It just, it just fizzled out. And we, you sort of want us to go and really make a statement. 4-1, don't get me wrong, 4-1 isn't that bad. We'd have taken, if someone said to us we could beat Swindon 4-1, maybe after we got beat on Good Friday at Plymouth, we'd have taken it. Yeah, we'd have taken it. But I think we're sending out massive statements. And the interesting thing is Swindon then went on to beat Pompey midweek 3-1, who still have to come to Plough Lane. So, if you think Swindon was a bad team, well, Pompey must be worse.
Is there not, in the Swindon example, something to do with the manager there? Because their manager resigned following our defeat and somebody else took charge for that Portsmouth game. And sometimes that little thing can make a big difference. And we've seen it ourselves, haven't we, with Simon Bassey taking over from Terry Brown, for example, and coming in and winning straight away. It has that weird way of happening sometimes. And it happened. Did it not happen to Spurs? Have they not sacked Mourinho this week and then won in the week with a 5-year-old in charge?
Do you know what? It's hilarious. If they always say, Johnny, sometimes it's a good day to bury bad news, isn't it? Well, this, they literally Mourinho getting sacked. I don't think even got onto the. Well, it didn't go onto the back page of papers. I think it just about made it as a little sub article in a lot of papers. So if you're going to bury bad news, because let's be honest, we're talking about the Super League and the money. Mourinho reportedly has about £20 million payoff. So it's not a surprise it was buried amount of that. But and Daniel Levy employed Mourinho to win trophies in the League Cup final, and he sacked him the day, a couple of days before it. So bless him. If Mourinho will find a job, but I think he's damaged goods in the English league now.
We don't have £20 million, as you say, to spend on anything, really. We're nowhere near these sums of money. But to get back to us and that win over Swindon, how much money could we one day receive for Ayoub Assal? And is he a player? I don't know. Robbo has referenced in previous interviews about the fact that people say, too small to make it or too small to be a footballer or whatever it might be, whatever the criticism might be. Is that an old school mentality? I don't know. Like Dennis Wise was short, but he was, and it was rare, like late 80s, 90s football. It was really rare to have someone that size. It was big physical match, wasn't it? Every week. Giant 6-footers, strong tackles, that sort of cliche almost, but that's what it kind of felt like. And even the 90s really are we not anticipating more the types of Ayoub Assal in the modern game?
I think so. When you look at it, Dennis Wise, expert set pieces, technically very good. I think there's also a bit about character as well. If you remember when Dennis Wise was, you weren't born, but Dennis Wise was a reject from Southampton, resurrected his career coming to Wimbledon, the whole, character thing. He was one of the big characters and was. Little players, I suppose when you think about it, we had Michael Hughes, who was a genius. I'm trying to think that Chris Perry wasn't exactly that big when you think about it, really, in terms of stature. Paul McGee, I remember going back further. So I think Assal, in terms of he's very determined, he's very driven, and also he's not a slouch. It's not as if he's getting bullied off the ball.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and do you know what the biggest compliment he got was on Tuesday? Oxford basically double teamed him whenever he got the ball. They double teamed him.
Double marked. Please say double marked. Please say double marked.
Double team. It's like a tag team. It's like a tag team thing. He had two men on him.
It's not making it any better.
But that's such a big compliment. Because, yes, he wasn't as effective against Oxford. They're a good team. And he did get substituted. So we can't expect him to turn it on every game. However, if he's got two people marking him, that's space for somewhere else. But Assal, in terms of do you know what? I think it's difficult, isn't it, valuation-wise, because he must surely be looking close for the potential for a 17-year-old. You have to be looking at six figures now, easily, just on that side of it.
My favourite little players of all time, apart from Michael Hughes, would be Paul Scholes and Marion Pahars of Southampton. But that is kind of the point I'm making here. Where does this mentality come from then about too small to make it as a footballer? What is that based on? Where does that come from? Is it like you say, he doesn't get beaten up, he doesn't get bullied? Is the assumption that these players are just going to get beaten up and bullied? Paul Scholes would never have been. Pahars would never have been. It's not. So that's my point, really, isn't it? It's not actually a modern thing at all. So why do we? Where's this come from? Where's this mentality come from? Where do things like good touch for a big man? Where do these things come from? Where do they originate, and why do they sort of perforate through football?
Well, the rules have changed, haven't they? So if you think back in the 90s, and even back to when we were in the Premier League, you couldn't, look at some of the tackles Vinny got away with. There's some of them are GBH. He'd be taken straight off the pitch and put into a cell with some of the tackles that Vinny did. So I think the physical thing was because a lot of teams in the English game played long ball or direct football, very physical. And I think as we then, the Premier League and it dripped down, I think we got more technically gifted players. A coach, if you think about St George's Park for England, so coaching badges. Sometimes the problem you get is that a lot of teams play the same way. That frustrates me. It's like there's only one way to play football, is pass and move. Robbo's changed, he's got his own identity. But I think it goes back. To old habits of, the rules have changed now. Asal is quick, nippy. If he gets taken out, he gets a free kick. Referees protect players a lot more. So, would Lionel Messi have been a star back in the 90s? He'd have been on the injury. He'd be literally in the physio room most weeks, being literally kicked the verbals out of him.
What about Michael Owen? He came in the late 90s and he had no issues, no problems.
But his career was, he was never as quick. He got injuries, didn't he? He got whacked.
Oh, true.
And his pace went. And Michael Owen's thing was pace was the only thing he had. That's disrespectful, but his pace was massive. But he got whacked heavily, and he ended up not being as good as he was in the later years. You were allowed to, some of the fouls, I don't know if you ever look back at, the 90s and stuff like that. Some of the tackles and were just amazing. Now you're literally going, oh, I can't believe you did that. But back in the day, that was a good tackle.
Yeah.
You think about, I'm thinking about Steve Bruce, Gary Pannister, Martin Keown, Tony Adams, Steve Bold. No nonsense centre-halves. They would kick you a kick early doors, and literally the referee would just say, okay, that's your first one. Yeah. How many did they get? They got about 10 of them.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I was once out in Luton, in a little club in Luton with my mate, and Michael Owen just came bundling in the door. Went straight up to my female mate, tapped her on the shoulder. He went, "Get your coat, you've pulled." She turned around, she went, "You're a little forward."
I can't believe I'll give you a laugh.
Thank you. You can have that one for free. I've got another one, 2 nuns in a bath. No, let's not go down there. Right, Oxford then, in the week, 2-1 victory. And a helping hand. But, see, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Remember when he played Sunderland at home a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
When their international defender blatantly handballed the ball on the goal line. And it was very, very similar. We didn't get that one. We got this one on Tuesday night. It's the old adage about penalties. People say, oh, well, yeah, you're doing well, but you always seem to get lots of penalties and that helps you out. Well, you get penalties because you're in the opposition's box and you're causing them to make stupid decisions. So we've got that red card and a penalty. We must have been in a position where their defender had or felt the need to handle the ball on the line. And therefore, we took full advantage. Having got the equaliser, we took full advantage to get the 3 points. All-round good performance. You mentioned actually there about teams looking all the same and having the same identity. Oxford seemed to fall very much into that mould. Last year, they beat us 2-1 at Kingsmeadow, and we all praised how good they were, and they were. But there was a little bit of pass. At some point, you might actually want to have a chance or have a shot at goal. Was that their undoing as much as anything else?
Yeah, it's an interesting game.
There's a lot in that question. I do apologise. I've covered loads.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you look at it, it's interesting because, we pressed high against Swindon and caused them all sorts of problems. However, Oxford are a totally different proposition. So it felt to me that we weren't as confident to press in numbers because Oxford were able to pass through us and come. So the high press, in a way, we sort of dropped off a bit more because we weren't as successful as getting possession high up the pitch. And Oxford had some really good chances. I think they dominated the first half, but you would probably argue they had the better chances without looking spectacular. I think the goal woke us up. If I'm being honest with you, the goal woke us up. It was a poor goal. I still felt it looked a bit offside to me, the person in front of Sanev. But we didn't appeal for it, so maybe we were happy with that. What I would say, the Will Nightingale, so the incident for the goal, the penalty and the subsequent sending off, it all starts actually to move before that. Nestor Guinness-Walker, who had a really good game, literally got the ball from Zanev probably midway in his half and literally ran the whole length of the pitch and got a corner, which I'm going to say people forget, but Nesta was a lot to contribute. And the goal, in terms of handball, if it wasn't for the handball, Will gets his third goal in as many games. I'd be truthful. I thought the keeper saved it because the camera isn't great. It's obviously a halfway line, isn't it? I thought the keeper saved it. I was actually going, oh, what a save. And then all hell broke loose, didn't it, on that sort of side of it. It was a sending off. Piggott's penalty. I was like, Pigs, just blast it. Just blast it. But, I think last season, when we know Piggott had problems with penalties, it's all about that confidence, isn't it? He looks like no problem whatsoever. Great penalty.
And then Woodyard with his first goal for us to give us the win. And he was, well, you could see afterwards. We talked about Woodyard and we said at the start of the season we were very excited by his arrival. And it was Tranmere, wasn't it, at the end of last season? And I mean, the end of last season when Tranmere were picking up form and we were coming to that big game with us before COVID came and curtailed the season. But you can see why he was so highly rated. I wonder, I'm assuming this would have been the case had Tranmere stayed up. I assume that he would be with them this season, I guess.
Yeah. They stayed up. Of course, they'd had more of a chance. He's not historically, though, played much north of the border or in Scousland.
North of the border? Where
have
Tranmere fucked off to?
Oh, sorry, north of the Watford Gap. The border is the Watford Gap for me. Anything else is basically northern and no point.
All right.
But yeah, possibly on that. I think I've said to you, I've said to a couple of people that I've been fortunate enough to see Woodyard. Some players, you can't really value what they do for a team unless you can see the whole pitch. So one camera is never great because you can't see off the ball work. But I've been fortunate enough to be in quite a few games this season, and Alex Woodyard was excellent in terms of the work he did to allow the forward players to go and protect. So I can see now he's starting gradually to influence it. And to be honest with you, when you look at the team, Dobson and Woodyard in that midfield are pivotal to the team. They literally sweep up, defend, they harass. The pairing is an excellent pairing. And as Dobson obviously got a goal, late equaliser against Wigan, wasn't it? Woodyard got his goal, and that knocked the stuffing out of Oxford because you could sort of sense that if we didn't get the second, Oxford probably would have been able to see it out on that sort of side of it.
Alex Woodyard and George Dobson, beautiful British names in the centre of our midfield. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of on the pitch for us is you mentioned Nesta Guinness-Walker and his role leading up to the goal. Has one of the key things since Robbo's come in charge been that are we keeping things simple for the players in terms of asking them to do things that play to their strengths? Because I can't remember actually, Stu, over the past however long it's been, even going back in when we weren't quite picking up results and we were losing 1-0 or whatever, or getting a 0-0 draw, we weren't really picking up on negatives of players. Do you know what I mean? Like, we weren't focusing on the things they can't do, and now we seem to be much more focused on the things they can do. Is that what Robbo's employed, or am I making that up?
No, I think you're right. We said a lot of times Nesta couldn't defend, but then a lot of fullbacks are not actually best. A lot of wing backs now or fullbacks actually are better going forward than they are defending. It's just the art of that role has gone from being a no-nonsense fullback, not getting beyond the halfway line, to now literally running up and down and probably being one of the fittest players on the pitch. I think, we do keep it simple. I think we had Robbo on Sunday Night Live with Andy Parslow, the restart coach. And we had, I don't know if you saw it, but we had the wall basically that he provided to us, which is their...
that stupid fucking thing with Dale Winton.
You're a bit more excited than that. But what it had on there, we asked him what 7... It says 7-1. And we didn't really know what that meant. But what he said he said, you may make a run 7 times and you only get the ball once. But that once would be the one thing you need. So it's in a way sort of going to them, We want you to be brave, make those runs, make those selfless runs, because the one opportunity you'll get will be the one you need. So it's like, in a way, putting a bit of confidence in them to go, do you know what, as long as you're doing what we expect off that wall, then we're good. But if you go away from that, so yeah, I think to answer your question, I think Robbo does get them to do what they're good at, and focus on the values that he's brought into the team.
Bring on the wall. What fun we used to have on a Saturday evening. Jesus Christ. I thought Saturday night TV.
You know what? It's really impressive. It's really impressive. There's loads on there that you can just. And do you know what the funny thing is, actually? When you see it, you then can sometimes visualize certain things that have happened, or goals that have happened, and moments, and you can see it. It's very impressive, and it shows that this recent run isn't a fluke. You don't fluke 4 games on the spin when you beat playoff potential players in teams in Accrington, Ipswich, and the biggest, I think the biggest scout, because obviously their manager thinks they're the best team since sliced bread. The biggest scout was Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that man. Excuse for a human being.
He's absolutely hilarious.
I just you know what to expect from him. Like whatever, mate. You're still stuck in his division. He had 1 season managing the league above, and they got relegated. So do one. See you later. Just want to say the final thing about the wall that's very impressive is that Hulk Hogan can identify it from a mile away. That is the most obscure wrestling reference we've ever had on this podcast. Currently we are up in the 19th, dizzy heights of 19th, 48 points. I think that keeps us up as it is, to be honest with you, but we'll break 50. So we'll all be looking forward to welcoming Oxford back to Plough Lane next season, along with Ipswich, who we play on Sunday. We travel to Ipswich. They're having all sorts of problems at the minute. So, another 3 points, another 6-0. 6-0 I'll go for on Saturday. Nice, easy win at Portman Road. What else we've got to look forward to? So Bristol Rovers travel to Portsmouth. Rochdale goes to Crewe. That's an interesting game for them. Northampton go to Gillingham. Swindon go to Scumland and probably win. Wigan host Burton. So really, all those teams scrappy for something at the bottom of the table, you kind of fancy them to get something, because they're against teams that Portsmouth in a strange position currently in a current run of form, and everyone else not really much to play for. So going to be a very interesting Saturday at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, and obviously, we're playing Ipswich very soon after beating them 3-0 at Plough Lane, and you always wonder sometimes with those games when you play each other. So sometimes when you play a team in the cup and you've got them in the league a week later, you don't sense.
You rarely win both. Win both.
But I'm not too sure if you've seen the goals that Northampton scored against Ipswich. All set pieces, all corners. Northampton, big, ugly team. Not ugly. I don't mean ugly in terms of look. They're just a big team. No.
Let's objectively. Can we objectively now judge the attractiveness of the Northampton Town players? Can we do that, please? Now you said that.
Do you remember though?
I'm getting their squad up on there. I'm getting their official website up. I don't care. I can't judge male attractiveness, but let's have a go.
Do you know what though? While you're doing that, what I mean by big and ugly, do you remember when Stevenage come to our place, the old Grand Wrestling team? I think Darryl Charles was in that team.
Yeah.
And they battered us. They were just massive, like big, ugly centre halves who had their faces all mangled, broken noses. You just looked at them and thought, oh my days, they don't really care if they get kicked in the face, because they'll probably kick you just as hard.
Yeah.
And the Ipswich, like I say, Northampton's goals were all set pieces. Their keeper was everywhere. We obviously already scored against them. Will Nightingale got the first goal against them for being 3-0. So I'm quite confident that we go there and win. I really am. I know that may be foolhardy, but if you're on 4, you're on 4 wins and a bounce, and you've got them who literally can't score, seeing the season out. Paul Cook doesn't really want to spend much time with that squad. He knows, I think a lot of them are out of contract in the summer. So he's just basically counting days. He's counting down the days until he can go on a staycation in the summer. They're
not the best looking bunch, Stu. I'm not going to. I mean, to my eye,
are you still looking at Northampton? Are you?
They're not the best. I mean, Joseph Mills has got to sort his hair out. He looks like a 1995 Smoky Mountain Wrestling tag team wrestler. I think Max Dyche might be, the ladies might like him. He looks like he could have starred in an Audi advert, advertising cars. I think he's that sort of guy. You can see him maybe in like a leather jacket, sort of walking away from his car. Goalkeeper Jonathan Mitchell, the most Scandinavian man I've ever seen. He must be from Iceland. I think the girls will like Alex Jones. He seems to be the Carl Fletcher of the Northampton side. And I think that's pretty... I think the rest are a bit... Oh, God, yeah, I'm not sure. Sam Hoskins looks a bit like Jack Grealish. And the only other one possibly that the girls might like would be... Where's he gone? Matt Warburton, but he's earning his bread elsewhere at the moment. He's out on loan.
Oh, dear. That's two shocking jokes.
Only two?
You know what? Yeah, the big ugly thing is something that's it's an old saying, isn't it? Goes back to the Martin Keowns as well and Terry Butchers and stuff. But I suppose if you look at our team, we don't really have a big ugly team. We have, you've got Will Nightingale, Luke O'Neill, Nesta Guinness-Walker. Like, to be fair, we've got like quite a pretty...
They're all on your list of 5 people you're allowed to cheat with.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, we've got quite a nice looking team, haven't we, really? Like George Dobson, like slick hair, Alex Woodrow. I'm trying to think, I don't want to be rude and say who's the ugly one, because that's rude in a team. But they're all well presented, aren't they? They're proper Wimbledon lads. So they're playing in a posh council estate now, aren't they? So they need to look the business in Wimbledon. Hey,
don't forget, our training ground is based in leafy New Malden / Berrylands, and, you have a certain class of people in this area, I'd just like to say. Thanks for noticing my haircut, by the way. I finally got my haircut. Thanks.
Well, I did. To be fair, I didn't give you any grief about it, so I sort of did notice it by not giving you grief about it.
By not mentioning it. By not mentioning it.
Do you know what I did see, by the way? I'm not going to name the person, but there's a Wimbledon fan who is I can't name him. Basically, on Facebook, he said he needs to go for a haircut. Like, I don't know where his beard ended. Like, it felt like he had literally not gone out. And I was in shock. I can't name him. It's not fair, but he's a regular. He's an older fan, but he
just
had a beard.
Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if the name I say is correct, all right, and then we'll all know. Lee Finch.
No, Lee's part of the shave anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, John, I'm not going to worry. The person who is John Ivers. So who goes, like, he has, like, I don't know what he's done. Like, is he? Bless him. John's a
Sorry.
Sorry.
You literally spent 5 minutes there saying, I won't name them. It's not fair to name them. I'm not going to name them. No, I can't name them. It's not going to happen. Don't get me to name them. Yeah, it's John Ivers.
Yeah, I'd be no good I'd be no good under the MI5, would I? Do you know what I mean? Under interrogation, I'd give him straight away. But yeah, like, I see people that need haircuts, but John literally, I don't know what he's been doing. There must be certain foods you can have that, I don't know, just mean that your beard or your hair grows quicker. But yeah. It's someone else.
What is going on? What the fuck is happening right now? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
you mentioned your haircut. It just brought me back to...
Oh, it's my fault. It's all my fault. I know. I've taken us down a dark place. But, my God, when you start talking about certain foods you eat to get your beard longer, I think, yeah.
But yeah, do you know what? Right, it's really weird. Plough Lane, we haven't seen some of the people we saw regularly on match days for ages. And saying that, to take away the laughter of it, it was sad to see in the programme recently. I think it's Colin Gales, who sadly passed away.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. I'd heard that someone had passed away, and they were mentioning, but I didn't put two and two together. And I have to say, I was really shocked when I saw in the programme that unfortunately he passed away. So yeah, our thoughts and that with his family. But it's, you just think,
on that one,
it's so sad, isn't it? It's so sad. But the ones that can get to Plough Lane, they're going to have some serious issues with their hair, aren't they? Like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe
Mine's
we
fine.
could
You can
get
see it now on the
mobile
screen. It's fine.
barbers around.
No, I
That's
think
where
we'll
they're making
right.
money, and mobile barbers.
If it's mobile, why do you need it at the ground?
Well, because it's going to have to be mobile, because it's not going to be set in stone there, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you could put it in a hospitality lounge. It could be, come watch a game, and have an haircut and your beard.
Right, on that note, let's bring to an end. Just give me a score prediction for Ipswich Town.
2-0 to us.
Okay, good. Right, thank you. Let's move on because we do have to talk about the Super League and the fallout from this nonsense that's been going on. And Stu, I think the world, if we've not already demonstrated that in the last 5 minutes, the world has lost its mind completely over this. Absolutely insane. There was one morning I woke up, the BBC News spoke about it for the first 10 minutes of BBC News. It was like all about this European Super League. I was like, I think we're getting a little bit carried away here. Yes, it was a terrible idea. Yes, it's been shot down in record double quick time. The hypocrisy of a lot of the supporters of these big six clubs is hilarious to me. I find it hysterical. And all the time, as this is all going on, under the radar, there's Champions League changes, reforms to the Champions League, which makes it just as bad as the Super League, as far as I can see, but no one's concentrating on those. Can you sum up the past week in European Super League world and what the hell's gone on and what you made of it all?
Well, the problem is that I think we've known, I have Sporting Wimbledon and a lot of clubs sport clubs are low down the pyramid. We've known that football's been broken for years and years and years, and it finally was the top boys, the Premier League. So, you had not Simon Jordan, Parish, who's at Palace. Yeah. He made me crack up, moaned before about the co-op and why should we support the rest of the team in the leagues and stuff like that. He was literally crying his eyes out because, unfortunately, those 14 weren't the top dog anymore. There was other boys that wanted to go and basically do them out of money. And it was hilarious because it's always been dog eat dog. What made me frustrated was that, you saw a lot of the big six, as they call themselves, I don't think they are anymore, fans basically saying that, we look after the pyramid and it's all about, they don't know. They really don't know. They're, the money doesn't drip down. The money doesn't drip down, like they say. But it was, big six wanting to make more money. It looked to me that it was more, the Spanish teams, Barcelona and Real Madrid, have got some serious problems with that. It felt to me that they needed the English clubs on board because, to be fair, we've got the best league in the world on that side of it. But it was surprising for me how quickly it fell apart. This wasn't like the rumours going around that they might break away. This was a actual. I think it was like 127 pages contract, which for Chelsea must be a nightmare to try and read all that. But this was serious player. JP Morgan put in billions of pounds in. Do you know what I mean? And it crumbled. So it showed fan power. Every journalist, every TV pundit didn't want it. All I ask now is it's not over now. If you're serious about the pyramid and football is broken and needs to be fairer,
they're not.
Then they sort it out because no. And the irony is that I can lay money. None of these fans of the Big Six will want their club punished by not being in Champions League. Yeah. But they should be. They should be punished. They should be punished. And I think
the thing is, what have they actually? You can say they've been punished, but what have they actually done wrong? I mean, what do you punish them for?
The clubs haven't done anything, but you have to send a message in a way that you can't. I think the thing is, I think the Big Six have realised actually they're no bigger. They get better voting rights and enhanced voting rights. They've shown their hand, and they've literally been totally done. I don't see how they would try that again because the damage is done.
There'll always be something. And we've had this before. We've had Super League talks down the years. We've talked about British leagues down the years. We've talked about separate competitions. We've had the 39th game. All these things. It will always be something because that's the nature of how these things work. People will always chase more and more, whatever form it takes.
I agree that there still might be something around the corner, but I think they showed their hand, and the first time really showed their hand. And they gave up. The owners couldn't deal with the backlash. The owners who are not even, a lot of them not in the country. Their apologies were just hilarious on that side of it. I think, I read a really good article this morning, Martin Samuel in the Daily Mail. I always think he gets the Wimbledon situation, and he basically said the government needs to put in basically a contract or something, some treaty, something that you sign to say that you won't change the name of a club, you won't try and move into a Super League, basically committing in writing contractually they won't try it. The funny thing he basically done a Milton Keynes rule. He said the Milton Keynes rule will be that AFC Wimbledon will not play 10 miles, will never play out of 10-mile radius of plough lane to stop teams. Because he cited back that no one stops. We're talking about franchise football. No one helped us.
No.
It wasn't a big deal then back in the early 2000s. But I think, Boris is always a great one of getting, always finding out what the feeling is and making sure he's on the right side of an argument. I hope now that it continues. Gary Neville's been very strong behind this, already a part of a reform group. But we've got I was looking today, for argument's sake, Wickham, I have to just laugh, by the way. Did you see the reaction to Bayo's penalty?
I'm out of the league.
So Wickham had to win. Wickham had to win against, who were they playing? I can't remember who they were playing now.
Pick a team, Swansea.
Yeah. Is it Swansea?
No.
Anyway, they had to win, otherwise they'd been relegated. Bayo scored his first championship goal. It was a penalty.
Of course.
And he was being hailed as the saviour. And I'm like, that's his first goal. Bayo's a back the story, isn't it? But I was looking at Wickham thinking they've still got a chance of staying up. It's unlikely. But if you look at the structure, I've always said to you about the 80%, 12 and 8%, which is crazy. But Wickham, we will get 635,000 of what they call the core money, which is basically our league status being a League One. Wickham, for being in a season in the Championship, 4.5 million. So even if Wickham come down, one season in that is, 4.5 million is 2 times and a bit our budget, our wage budget. So there's gaps the whole way through the Championship, League One. Crazy.
Imagine we had that money. Imagine we got a season in the Championship. We got £4.5 million. Come straight back down. We just chuck it like Wickham were a sensible club. They're not going to be funding a team to get themselves promoted again. I don't think they'll make better use of that and more sustainable use of that funds.
They didn't really make major signings. They didn't make any major signings. So even that money, they haven't really gone out and wasted it.
No.
But good luck to Wickham. It'd be nice to see them coming back down to Plough Lane. They've got a nice carpet to dive around on when they come back. But it just, the football pyramid is broken. It's not even, we're saying that there's parachute payments forcing Championship clubs to spend money to get in the Premier League. It's the same way from the League One to the Championship. You basically, if you want to compete, you're going to have to spend money. And money is the root of all evil. And the British Super League that's being done is just makes me chuckle. Like, how much more money do people need? If they just sorted out their salaries and didn't pay the players ridiculous sums of money, they don't need. I'm on a rant now. Perez, the Real Madrid manager, Real Madrid owner, basically said the reason they had to do the Super League was because I think the 6 or the 12 lost £660 million last year. Well, that's his fault. That's their fault. They're obviously not paying. They're paying too much for what's coming in. Simple business. It just
in a COVID year, in fairness.
Well, yeah, but Real Madrid has just done a Bernabeu up. They took out a £400 million loan with JP Morgan.
Of course they did. Yeah.
So they have got Barcelona a lot of short-term debt. So Barcelona have got a lot of payments they've got to make. The Spanish clubs are in serious. Atletico Madrid went in it because they've got the most expensive manager in Simone. They've still got to pay half. They've still got to pay 50% of the ground that they moved into. So it's like they're trying to get bigger, but they haven't got the money. Their eyes are too big for their belly.
What a great quote that is.
Who needs more money? It's just.
But that's the nature. Yeah. But that's the nature of it, though. Like, and we're running out of time. But this is we're all guilty of this. We are guilty of this. We invested in our squad beyond our means to get ourselves into the Football League. We did. We did it in League One, and we ran at debt, and now we're in huge debt, of course, for other reasons. But when you're prioritising on-pitch success above everything else, sustainability is the first thing to go out the window. And we never learned this one. We were chucking money in buckets for Notts County outside England internationals 20 years ago.
Yeah. Do you know what? This summed it up for me. Well, there's two things. Chelsea fans putting on there that you can't buy, you have to earn it, you can't buy our passion. They have. Abramovich has been doing that since 2003. But there was a Liverpool, so the Liverpool owners did an apology. And on Twitter, I was just reading the responses. I'm always curious what the responses was. And one person went there, "We will forgive you as long as you buy Mbappe, Messi." And it just, you just go in, oh, can you not see what it may have been? It may have been as a joke, but I don't think it is. These, they're not going to, these fans are not going to all of a sudden say, oh, John, we've saved football. Don't spend too much money in the summer because we don't want to, money's exactly, evil. They want their club to spend ridiculous amounts of money. So it's a little bit, yes, they got the Super League scraps, but, follow through. If you're serious about the pyramid, follow through with it and, get behind it. I'm not going to hold my breath.
I do wonder if a lot of the outrage about this thing, to the extent that it became, was a little bit of a misunderstanding as well. Once you hear the words breakaway European Super League, I think there is a bit of a Pavlovian response to this, and people go, oh my God, no, this can't be happening. Da, 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 da. Which, I mean, it's just a different version of the Champions League, really. And they were never actually leaving. There seemed to be a bit of a misconception that these clubs were actually no longer going to be members of the Premier League. They were removing themselves from the Premier League to take part in this league, which was never the case. But I do wonder as well if, like you're saying, the reaction from these big six fans is a lot of them probably still on furlough. A lot of them still kicking about at home, not a lot else going on, and it just becomes something that they can focus on and put their energy towards. It would have been interesting to see if it had got the same level of reaction this time 2 years ago, for example. We'll never know. It's just me chucking it out there and me just, as I do on this podcast, and it gets us in trouble all the time, shooting the breeze. Speaking of consciousness.
Can you imagine those fans in grounds? Like, this would have been toxic. And it'd be interesting, Joy. It'd be interesting when fans go back. Will they remember this? I don't think they will. If they really want change, they want their owners out. Like Liverpool fans now saying the Liverpool owners must sell. The Glazers, they must sell. Who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy it? And actually, there's worse people out there than Glazers.
Yeah. Well, there is several.
A Super League. If someone's going to buy Man United, they're going to buy it to make money. And the Super League will always be around. Just let them
Worst
go.
owner.
Do you know what? Just let them go.
Well,
do we need them?
If all this stuff that people have been saying this week is to come to pass, it's not going to happen, like you say, Stu, exactly as you've just said. It's not going to happen because you've scuppered a European Super League. It needs real reform, and I don't think the stomach's there for real reform, to be honest with you. I await to be proved wrong. But like I say, if there's going to be reform, a club like us should be at the forefront of it. First thing you do if you want real reform as a club like us, you say, EFL trophy, B teams, academy teams? No, not taking part in it. Will we do that? No. Why? Because we get 10 grand a match if we win.
Well, and this is why I've done a few blogs on it recently. But if we remember back to the B teams, the Premier League basically said that they threatened that they would hold on to their solidarity payments if we didn't agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's the money thing again, isn't it? It all comes down to money. And this is why I laugh when they keep saying we look after teams in a pyramid. They don't. They get what they want. The EP253 takes players for next to nothing. But if you ask the average Premier League fan, and there's nothing against them, they won't know that because all they're interested in is their team, how much money they're going to spend. Unless I say, if you're really serious about it, do something. But I could see a lot of fans still going out and spending 60, 70 quid on tops. Man City fans still going out and spending 80 quid on a one-off Champions League shirt that they've raised. And, it's just, if they've had enough, they've had enough. But ultimately, they're funding it. And all the time they keep doing it, these clubs still want to get richer and richer.
You mentioned pyramid there, Stu. The only pyramid I'm interested in now is a pyramid tea bag because I am gasping for a cup of tea. It's been a long week, and that is the end of our time this week. So we'll just sign off there by wishing everyone a very happy St. George's Day on the 23rd of April.
Yep.
I would like to also point out, Stu, when you're talking about bad owners, the worst owner in the history of football was, of course, Elton John. But I would like to say thank you very much for joining me on the show this week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. Updates from the Ipswich Town game will be on that 9 Years podcast, and there'll be more from us before we play Rochdale in a huge game next Tuesday. Hopefully we'll be safe by then. But thank you very much for joining us. It is time to go with the usual Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, 2 + 2 = 4. The Northampton Town players are not the most attractive. We will speak to you again next Friday.